Good morning. It is well after 10:30 a.m. It is Sunday morning, and that means it's time for Sunday Club. Before I describe what Sunday Club is, I'm going to do a quick little rundown as to why we're running a little bit late. If you're trying to watch this on Twitch right now, I don't think it is happening because the reason I'm late is because Streamlabs has decided that it won't let me stream to Twitch right now, which is very frustrating, which is ironic because we are working on Twitch. So what I'm going to do is, even though I wanted to go live just so that people knew that I was streaming this week, and what I'm going to do is just take the first couple seconds of this just to tweet and retweet about the fact that it's not working this morning. So you're going to have to bear with me a little bit. While I do that, I'm just going to explain what this is. So every week we put together a Rails app, and what the Rails app does is it lets you sign up as a user, and you can give the app your YouTube channel ID, and it will build a little mini web page full of all of your videos, which you can then edit and things like that. And what we're working on at the moment is adding Twitch streams to that app. But ironically, we can't stream on Twitch about integrating Twitch into our app. Just going to tweet here. So Twitch stream not working this morning. You'll need to jump to YouTube. And then I'm just going to tweet what the default one is. Sorry about this, everyone. Slight delay to... And then I'm just going to retweet this from my other account. So I'm just doing this all as the intro, but just because I think a few people watched on watched last week via Twitch, so it's be kind of annoying not to quick tweet. Twitch stream not working in Streamlabs for some reason. Live now. Cool. Okay, so I've tweeted about that. Okay, great. So let's crack on with what we're trying to do anyway. Let's not worry too much about that. So, ironically, even though we can't stream on Twitch this morning, we can integrate it. So we're going to jump back in. So if you saw last week's stream, what we did is got into the details of getting our Twitch app up and running. And then we got a little bit stuck in oAuth, which is like, how do we get the tokens that we needed to get the authentication for the API to then get and then we struggled to get the data that we actually needed. So we had a user ID, and channels and users are not quite the same thing, but they sort of are. And so we then got we had a login, which wasn't the same as an ID, and then we worked out how to get the login ID. We're going to jump straight back through those hoops because to protect the channel, what I did was I deleted that app. So we're going to go and rebuild it. And again, we'll do the same thing of just putting the client secret on there, and that's probably very risky, but we'll just do it anyway. And oh wait, maybe that's why the stream doesn't work. Maybe someone broke it. So, oh well, that would be annoying. Okay, so let's give this another try. So we want to share the coding screen for now. And let's put that up on here. Cool. Yeah, so sorry, that's all a bit of a stressful start to the stream with things not working as expected. And generally, I think it might be a Streamlabs issue as to why Twitch isn't working this week, which is really annoying. So let's... Okay, so it wasn't that. It was like dev.twitch.tv, wasn't it? Yeah. So you can get into your console. Is there a way that I can do this without putting the client secret on the screen? Yeah, because we only needed the token, didn't we? So let's see. Let me just jump this up to the other monitor real quick. So let me just let's see if I can do this without sharing the client secret, because I just think that's I didn't mean to do it last week, and so I want to register an application. It's going to be called Sunday Club. Again, We're just going to put in localhost as the oAuth redirect URL. So if you're doing this along, then you can check back last week onto how to get those done. And this application integration, I'm not a robot, and we're going to create that application. Great. So that then gives us client ID. Great. And so what I'm going to do is, if we just find Postman again, if you remember last week, we just used Postman. So what we're going to do is it gives us a client ID, and then we get a new secret. So I've got a secret. Again, I'm doing this all on the other screen. And then what we should be able to get is an access token. Now the token, I think we probably can show. So let's jump back over here. Right. Okay. So this is our client ID, which this time is this. And the bearer, I think, is the token that we've just been given. So I think that's this. And let's see what we get with that. Okay. Maybe not. Okay. Maybe not. So the client, I've got this the wrong way around. The client ID is this. Yeah, and that's the token. We're just going to give that one a try. No. I'm just going to pull this back off screen again so I can get the access token begins with 4. Oh, I've obviously screwed up copying and pasting that. Bear with me just a second. Okay. Okay, so that is, let's try one of the other ones. I got the client ID there. So I'm just trying to redo what we did last week. Essentially, I'm just refreshing my memory as to which way around we have to do these things. So let's, the client ID begins with Q. There, and then we have our access token there. Just that one. Unauthorized client ID and oAuth token do not match. Okay, so why is that? It's a bearer token. It's not expired. And those worked last week that way around. So we've got a client ID there. Oh, hang on a second. No, sorry about this. It is just off the client ID and token do not match. Okay, so I'm just going to pull this back onto the screen and bump the font size up. So our so we got our token. Let me just paste over here what our, so that's our client ID. I'm just doing this again. I'm on the other screen, just kind of trying to keep the secret off the screen, but I don't think it matters because this isn't working right now either way. And then our token, I think, is this one here, which is the 48. Yeah, let me just pull, can I pull that tab out? No, okay. So the token is, the token begins with 4I, not 48. Oh, why does that keep switching back? So I think that's the token. So 4I, okay. So let's just jump to here. These things I've got 4I, 6, QR9. And what we're seeing is that unauthorized client ID and oAuth token do not match. Ah, is it because this is in here? Is this overriding it? Yes, okay, great. That's annoying. So do I not want that one there at all? I thought this one, so this is in Postman, which is the app for integrating, not integrating, sorry, like making API requests and like a nice UI over something you could do in curl or something like that. So I thought that when you put stuff into the authorization, like adding a bearer token, it would actually reflect that in here. But that's not what's happening. So this line can go all together. So we can delete that. And we can be the same thing on this one, I would guess. Yep. So that can then also be our token, which is for I. Great. Okay. And so we don't have any streams for that user, which I think is me, but I'm not streaming right now because the stream is broken. Okay, cool. So this then gave us, so this is how we got from our login to our user ID. Now this is what we care about, I think, for the user interface of our app, because we're going to want to ask the users for something. So on YouTube, we're asking for their ID. So let's load up what that experience looks like. So if we load up a server and then go over to our app, when that server kicks in, just keep refreshing, come on. Okay, we should be there. So this is our homepage. We can have what's your channel called? And then so what is the ID of your YouTube channel? So here we're specifically asking for the ID, but we're telling the user what we're looking for by giving them the prefix. It's like, it's youtube.com/channel/ whatever comes after it, shove it in there and that will help. Well, on Twitch, my understanding is that you get the login as part of the URL. So I think the Sunday Club URL for Twitch is just /Sunday Club, but that isn't the ID that we needed for the other API endpoint, which was broadcaster ID or user ID. So let's see. So as you can see, 571, that's our user ID. So let's see what that does for broadcaster ID. Okay, great. So that just gives you, I think it just gives you information about the user. So what we would need to do, and then this one gave us information about the streams that channel had running, or that user has running. And remember, the user in the channel got blurred. So we could ask for, well, what we could do, I guess, is ask for either. So on this screen, we could say, what is your Sunday Club login or something like that, and or the name of your name of your channel or whatever. And then we could check and say, well, is it, okay, I wonder if channel logins can be integers, because you could say, well, if it's an integer, then we're good, we've got everything we need. And if it's not, if it's a string, go and perform the login check, get the ID. Or what we could do is always perform this check of going to find the login. If that failed, assume it was a user ID and then do that check. And that way you get the information you need, which is this integer is what we want. And so I wanted to tackle that today. And the other thing I wanted to look at was an idea I had during the week, which is one of the things we'd spoken about was when you get this information back about the channel, I think there was one that was like, is live is true or false. I think it's this. So if there are any streams for that channel at that time, you get the stream information back. And if that comes back, then we want to show the stream at the top of the channel. And what we'd spoken about was, we could put in a stimulus controller that checks this API endpoint and actually goes and looks to see whether whether there's a stream running, and then you could just pop it straight at the top of the website. So you have all the YouTube channels below if there were any, and if not, you could just use this API endpoint. But what I realized is that we have turbo frames running, and what I think turbo frames can do is, because we can lazy load a turbo frame, I think we could basically put the element in for a turbo frame, and then do that check on the server side, and then if it's running, render it or don't. So we don't have to do that on the client side, just going on along with the kind of lines of having everything server side as much as possible. So let's start there and then work our way back to adding the IDs, because I think this will be a bit of a simpler one, because we could always just do a stimulus controller if we can't get the lazy loaded turbo frame working. So what, let's just, turbo frames Rails, not tube frames. I want turbo frames Rails. So I think I want this one, but I'm also going to Google lazy load turbo frames Rails. Okay, great. Lazy loading content with turbo frames. This is perfect. So let's skip through this a little bit. One incredibly powerful feature is lazy loading a frame activity feed. First, you load the outer shell of the page. Then you can make an AJAX call to fetch more content. One downside is that the page jumps around a bit. Okay, this is all good. A basic lazy loaded turbo frame looks like this. By specifying the source attribute, the frame will automatically make an AJAX request when the page loads and replace its content with the matching turbo frames in the response. Additionally, you can set the loading property of the loading to be either eager or lazy. Okay, right. So here's how the GitHub activity feed might look in a Rails view. Content, turbo frame tag, feed, sources, feed path, loading, lazy. Okay. You can take it to the next level by replacing the basic loading message with your own skeleton loader. Tailwind makes this really easy with a built-in animate pulse class. Okay, that's just UI. Make sure your activity feed path action returns the content wrapped in a matching turbo frame so that it will automatically swap out the frame content and replace the loading state. Okay, so that sounds really straightforward. That sounds great. So let's do it. Let's try this out. So we can say in our application, we want to do this on the, they've changed the icon for VS Code and I am not used to it yet. It is a white, I think it was just the blue thing previously, this little doodad here. And it's now got a white background and I lose it in the text. I'm looking for the blue one. Also, if you're noticing this week that there is also no music, that's another reason why I'm running a bit late, because the the loopback also broke. So this morning has just not been a good morning for software working. So apologies for that. Let's try and make our own software work. Let's do that even better. So we're going to say that we want to, when you view, let's do it. What were we doing it on channel or on site show? I think, what did we do? We did it on site show, I guess, on channel show. Sorry. Okay. So we could say, okay, yeah, because you could have multiple, but then this channel, would only represent a YouTube channel in our modeling system. So we have a site that can have many channels. So this would be a channel views where if you had a bunch of YouTube archives, you couldn't put, or to follow the modeling idea, you wouldn't put the Twitch stream at the top because that would be on a different channel. So this would perhaps be better on the site show view, which I think loops over every channel and shows every video in every channel. But what it could also do, well, this would be insane, but you could also loop over each Twitch channel and show all of the streams, but that would be a lot of streams. Although that is what's on the Twitch homepage. You could have like a little banner, like a little carousel at the top of them. let's just do it here. So we're going to paste in, and we're going to load that up. Let's load our, so our server's running, and I think that we might have a channel if I remember. So channel 33, does that work? Okay, so channel 33, and then was it like... Sites, oops. I'm just looking for a site with some content in it. Okay, that one has got our test. That's good. So just want to find one. I'm just going to change IDs really quickly until we get something working. Oh, damn it. I'm just going to make one because I want to be signed in as well. Okay, sorry about this. Bear with me. So this is going to be Sunday Club. I create the site, and then we need our YouTube channel ID, which we can get from the other monitor. Submit that, and then we can just put in a dummy email address and a dummy password. I want to copy that. I'm going to sign up. Oh, so that's all that's on. Oh, because we haven't got our content, so we're just going to load up a console. And then I think the last thing, I think it might be the last thing we were doing in console is, yep. So we can just import a bunch of videos. This is all in previous streams. So this is basically the importer that goes, it would normally run in a background job, but we haven't got a worker running. So I'm just triggering this manually, and it's channel 34, but I think we can just do it here. So this is sites 50. So what this is doing, it's not using any styling, but because of the joys of Tailwind, can we copy that styling over? Or were they all in the partials? Or was it on the, actually, was it in the control panel where we actually added in all of the lovely, we had like a panel component and things like that. I think we had done some UI work over there. I think that might be in views, control panel. I wasn't in that one. Might be in showing the video. Here we go. So we had this cool main content component. See if we could do that here as well. The title would be the video title, and then we could perhaps pop that in. So let's refresh this. Wow, okay. So that shows you the kind of power that you get from using these, like, well, they're fancy partials basically, but like these view components. We just tidied that view up because all we really had was a bunch of partials, and we've already got a view component, a Rails view component that handles all the styling. Again, all of this is covered in previous streams. So if this is your first stream you're ever watching, then feel free to go back and check out exploring all of that. And this, most importantly, is our lazy loading content, I guess, turbo frame content. So let's go back to where that's being added. So that's views, sites show. That's in here. And so what we can do is say, oh, well, what we can do is this feed URL being hit? So we can open up our server and say, are we trying to get /feed? Yes, here. So we should have everything loaded up for on our first request. So let's clear all this stuff out and give ourselves some space. We'll just bump the font size up a bit. Let's just check what we think is happening. And then what we can do is refresh the page. So we get loads of stuff here. So this is the initial get request. Go and get me /site/50. So that's all of that stuff. Then get processed by the controller. Great. Everything's all good. Here, completed 200. Okay, so we're done. We've finished our response there. So this is all of the stuff that controller's doing. Then it's going to do more stuff. And what more stuff is it doing? It is doing our action cable connections for all of our the stuff up here. And I can't remember what we had on there, but like buttons to subscribe and things like that. And then here, most importantly, it is saying, right, I am going to get /feed. So what we can now do is give ourselves a new controller for it to hit. And again, just for the speed of the stream, I'm going to skip the testing on this, and we're just gonna build it, as this is mainly just a proof of concept. We're not going to worry too much about any kind of diligence here. So let's just build it out, and we are going to have a what is this going to be? This is going to be a what are we doing? Checking Twitch to see if the stream is up. Okay, so we're going to have like a let's just, I don't know, a Twitch live streams controller. That's probably not the right name for that, but I'm just nothing's working this morning, so let's just go with what what we think we can get out going. So there, and we're gonna have Twitch live streams controller, and we're just gonna have a show view for that, I think. And then we can, what does that actually need? The only thing we need to show that was our postman. Looking at that is these are, okay, right, I'm going to hard code this. So we've got to kind of do some fourth dimensional thinking here, in that we imagine that we would have on our flow asked for the login or the user ID for the Twitch user for this site that they want to put on there. So we would have that, and then that's what we would then pass to whatever the controller or wherever we were going to check this. So we're just going to assume that's kind of done and handled, and that it would probably be attached to the channel object that was being used, I would guess. Again, we're just doing a proof of concept, so all the details are very murky. Your mileage may vary and all of that stuff. So in here, oh well, let's add a root for it, and then let's just check we get let's just return a head OK. Let's just return a response from that, and then what we'll do is we'll add a root for it, and we can say so that, because that would be within a channel, wouldn't it? Because a channel is either a YouTube channel or a Twitch channel. I think that's how we modeled this. That was a long time ago. Only working on this an hour a week is not great for keeping everything in your mind. So I think so YouTube channel ID. Okay, yeah. So on channel, we've got YouTube channel ID, and then we could have like Twitch login or Twitch user ID or something like that. So a channel would be represented. So within our channel, we could then have are you going to get back more than one? I guess you are. I don't know, we could give it like a nice, like a Twitch check or something like that. Because we're not modeling this or anything, so I'm just putting it in as that. So I think, remember we had our nice visual way of getting at these roots here. So again, I'm going to bump the font size up. This is in previous streams, so if you've not used this before, you can also get them via rake roots in the console. So we've got channel Twitch check path, and that will do channels, channel ID, and Twitch check, and it will go to Twitch live stream show. So that tells you everything you need to know about the routing. So we know we've got the channel ID, which is still... Oh, I see. Right, and then we're doing... Sorry, I'm doing it in the wrong place because I'm doing site show. And the site has many channels. Well, and that's fine. We can just sorry, I'm dotting around all over the place this morning. But in the sites show, we are actually looping over the channels. So we could pop it in here and say, if channel is YouTube, list these out. If channel is Twitch, do this other thing. Or we could, at the top, just loop over all the Twitch channels and see if they're live and show them. So we've got loads of options here. But we don't have a way at the moment on the channel model of knowing if it's Twitch or YouTube or anything like that. And again, you wouldn't want to do it as Twitch or YouTube. You would have like just channels of N types. So you could, you would have, you might want to add in some other streaming provider, and you would want to make it extensible like that. So again, I'm just hard coding here as an example just to get this up and running. You would kind of want to have designed this before you do it, obviously, but design it in a way where you're not then going to get stuck. Oh, I'm only going to have these two providers and adding another one will be a big pain. You want to work backwards. And again, how are these actually going to appear? Where are they going to appear? And what do I need to change in my channel model to make that viable? Because I think often one is easy. So like, we're already going to do YouTube channels, fine. As soon as you're doing two, you're like, okay, we're adding another one. Is this definitely going to be the only one? This is often payment providers is a big one for this. Like, oh, we support PayPal for a decade or whatever. Okay, now we need to support Stripe. By the time you're doing the second one, like you're really thinking, okay, we're going to need to support n number of these. So it's often safe to assume that you're just going to need to do more than one all the time for everything, just because it's you just get bitten all the time. If you're up at like doing 3 or 4, and they're like, oh, there's never going to be a fifth. Like there's always a fifth. So plus it does make your design easier to reason. I don't know about easier, but like you don't then have to think in specifics when you're thinking of your domain model, because you've got like this is just a group of things, like a group. It could be a different load of types of channels. Whereas if you're just thinking in terms of Twitch or YouTube, your habits that you're going to get into are adding loads of fields to the model, like Twitch underscore and YouTube underscore. Whereas if you can abstract those out to just a bunch of metadata, perhaps, or something else like that. Anyway, that was a long blurb, but let's chuck this in here so that we have a channel ID. So for each channel, we're going to do that. And we only have one channel on this site, so we're not going to run into thousands, but we can do this. And then in here, what we will then have is, if we just go back to our roots, slash channels, slash channel.id, slash Twitch check. Okay, and we think that will actually return a 200 now. So let's go back to our server. Again, clear a bunch of space out so we can tell it apart, and then we'll refresh our browser. Yep, so that's only loaded once because we've only got one channel here, and in our server, we have got oh, I didn't put any RB tag around that, sorry. Huh. Sorry, I thought I was interpolating it, but it's not. Let's try that again. Oh, don't need that. Sorry, still thought I was interpolating it. There we go. Great. Okay, so in here, So this is now our full, so now rather than just getting an error there, we've got a full request here. So we started the get request for the Twitch check. It's hitting the controller, it's got channel 34, and now we're bringing back a 200. So the content should be replaced. Now the content's not being replaced because we are not bringing back a corresponding turbo frame. So if we go, remember our logic, what we're doing with turbo frames, you need to bring that back. So we can then add in channels, Twitch live streams, and then show. And here I've forgotten everything about how we got those turbo frames back. Yeah, so we got turbo frame, DOM-ID. And I guess that's just closing the turbo frame. And we haven't got the DOM-ID for video because we haven't got an object here. So this could just be ID feed, but it could be Twitch check, and then it could be again the channel ID here. So that could be the ID. And in here, we could do the same thing. That could be at channel, I guess, because we would know the channel, and then we would need, I'm doing this off the top of my head. So if you're thinking this doesn't seem very structured or well thought through, that is because it's not particularly structured or thought through. So don't take any of this as a good idea. So let's just, what have we got in here? We've just got channel ID, yep. So before we're going to set the channel, and there we then should have the channel. And therefore in the thing that we're returning, we can use that in the ID to know what to replace. Then we can just put like, this is the response content. So shall we see if that works? That has not worked. Cool. So what do we get back for that request? Let's kill all of that and refresh this. And we want, not actually sure which request. Twitch check, there we go. So I've got no content back whatsoever. Oh, because we are just returning head in the controller. It's actually not trying to render the response, I would guess. Oops, where am I? In here, sorry. So rather than returning head okay, I think we just do that now. It's the view Twitch live streams controller show is missing a template. Okay, so Twitch live streams controller. Ah, that's not nested. We just nested the root. Okay, so I've put the view in the wrong place. Sorry. Okay, so that can come up to there. Now let's give that a try again. Great, so this is the response content. So we are now lazy loading this content. Now, what we can do, we wouldn't do this in the controller necessarily, but we can say is live, and then we could put in, we would have like a class that went off and did the checking. But we are already 40 minutes into this and nothing seems to be going well this morning, so I'm just going to do it. Just going to do it on here. So we just want this request, I think. So we can replace this out with can we just do this with like HTTP from here? Doesn't, I wouldn't normally do that, but let's just see if that works. I'm gonna have to Google syntax for that. HTTP, what is it, a post? Let's get. Oh, this is one of the things where I'm gonna look up the official docs and then do I have to define HTTP as okay. Okay, can we just do a quick one like that? This seems good. Oh, next I need to put the headers in. Oh god, I can never remember the syntax for this one. Then you have to pass it as a block and all this stuff. Right, where's the basic one where you just create it and then don't make the request yet? How to use NetHTTP? I genuinely done this a million times and still just look it up like, okay. Yeah, I don't think the way I normally do it is to put it inside a star. I normally create it, then do a dot get. Let's just Google. Cool. And look for some code to grab more quickly than I am. I'm just looking for, because I want to set the headers on it, because I need to set the oAuth headers. Get set headers. Fine. Does this just take me to setting headers? Here we go. Okay, this doesn't look anything like the one I would normally use, but I don't really want to worry about that. Okay, so don't think we need file. I don't know what that's doing. So this one, we have our thing here. We can swap that user ID out later, but that would be the thing that we had from our channel. So that's going to be our URI. And then we are going to want to set So let's turn that off. Put that in there. Cool. Okay, so we want request authorization to be this. Again, all of this would be dynamic. You wouldn't be doing any of this hard coded. So this is just, I'm just trying to get a proof of concept for my own brain to see that what I thought was possible is. So, and these would all come from like, again, either your channel object or something like that, where you would have set all of that against the, oh no, these would be your app tokens, I guess. Yes, this would come from some sort of config object or an invariable or something like that. URI has a URI port. And then we can just see what that spits out. Because remember, all we're looking for is whether the stream is live. So then here we can say, again, you wouldn't name things like this, but I'm just trying to. So you could then say like something like stream is live. Oh, that okay. So then we should try and run this when we load that page then. Because you could cache the response so that you only ran it once in a while, assuming it would take care of the stream ending on time. Okay, so let's refresh this. So that now fails. What do we get back? We can just look on the server. Stream is loading. Oh. Again, just gonna take a quick look through. I just want to assign that. Am I doing that? All right, are we not hitting anything in there? So let's put in a pry in there and just see what we're getting to. Okay, that has that has stopped the server. Oh, that really has stopped the server. Okay, I did not like that. Okay, interesting. Because that's asynchronous, so it shouldn't. I'm trying to hit this until the first one is done. Okay, now I got to kill that process. Bear with me. Something's gone wrong in there. There we go. That's been killed. So let's start our server back up. We can take out the pry, I guess. So all we want to know is, are we hitting that? So we can just put in some puts and see if we're hitting that. Okay, so now that has, yep, so we're getting 2 in there. And we are not getting our response back. So we're setting a URI, creating a request object, then we're doing the request, but not getting a response. And that's still hanging. Do we need to do something to the response? Or is there something missing from that and that? Got a param, but that's actually in the URI. Did I misspell one of the headers or something? Authorization. Got the bearer token client ID. That's got that value. Can we, rather than doing, okay, so rather than doing start, can we just do the get there? Again, do I have to kill this separately again? Yes, I think so. So I'm wondering if calling start is then not, is just opening a persistent connection. It's just my memory of doing those. So let's try that again. I'm not even sure we need the port name, to be honest, if it just tries it. So let's give this another try. Great, so now we've got an error. That's better. Undefined method host name for API. String. Oh, do you have to pass the URI as some sort of special thing? No? Oh, this is... Oh, so this is what, so once you've got the get object, yeah, the actual docs was not helpful to me there. I don't enjoy reading that style. Oh, that is the same. This is the same code. Why is that not working? I'm never hitting the actual response. Do I need... that set? Ah, okay. Did we just get that back? Great. Okay. So it was because interesting. This is why I always use like pre-existing code. Okay. So now we have a response back. So because we hadn't set use SSL, something was getting stuck there. So now we have a response, and we should presumably have response.body in there. Yeah, great. So now we have the same response here coming back from our GET request that we are getting in Postman. So you want them to be the same. It's the same request we're making. Now, what we can do is we want a channel that we know is streaming live. So let's go over to Twitch. Yeah, what's this? Football. Yeah, so we don't. So Bateson 2087. So let's copy that. So we can go back over to Postman because it's the user ID we need. So with the login of that, we can then get a user ID of this. So remember, you have to work your way backwards, and then that lets us pop in a user ID here. Save that, and then we can then refresh our app. Now what response do we get? Great, so now we get this type live and all of these things, and that's in data. And previously we had data as an empty array. So what we could almost do is say, very basically, again, we need to read all the docs and work out what was actually happening here. But we could put response.body.data. I don't actually know what that's come back as. What is response.body there? A hash. And what we're saying is live. So let's just say if it comes back with anything, then that's true. And then we can say stream is live. So in here, we could say, oops, if stream is live, but the stream is live, else, oops, no stream. It's not my morning today. It's really not my morning. I can't remember anything. So then when we refresh, got an error on there. Of symbol. Oh, is that just a string at the moment when it comes back? What is that? Can't type today. Yeah, that's just a string. Okay. So what is response? Oh, okay. Can we do that? Oh, can I just convert it to... Oh, okay, cool. Oh, wait, that's not going to do what I do. So why can't I convert it to... response body as hash. I just want that body's hash. They're just so just seeing if there was a pre-made a pre-made class for this. Like, yeah, I can't do that, I don't think, no. Yeah, because it's still a string. Okay, it's just a JSON string. Get responses. NetHTTP has a notoriously bad API. It's failure level. Okay, so I should do. Let's just say contains. Like, all I really give a shit about is that it contains live. Type live. Okay, so body include like type as a string. Okay, and what it actually can contain is does it do it like that? Okay. We can put something like that at the end. And say like, does this have type live? We could, again, you can come back and fix all that up. This is awful code, but we don't worry about that because we're just trying to prove our point here. So now, well, we can leave that in. So now when we refresh this, the stream is live. And if we jump back to our previous ID, which is the Sunday Club stream, this one here, we would get no stream. Right, what the hell have we been trying to do there? So basically what we're able to do is instead of having to do that on the client side, we can leave all of the information on the server side, and by using a turbo frames, we can basically lazily check to see whether the stream is live, and then the response that comes back is variable based on that. And what that means is you could have a turbo stream running that maybe had a background job on the server that was checking to see when that came back, or a webhook that kicked in that was like, hey, I'm now streaming. You could have, when the webhook kicked in, you could update the stream and change that partial from turbo streams. Like that could suddenly show the stream. And what we had when we checked the Twitch docs, the dev Twitch docs, so Twitch embed user, I think. Embedding Twitch, this was the stuff we were looking at. We had embedding video and clips, I think. Interactive frame. Oh, I don't know any of these. Oh, okay, we only need the channel or video. Okay, so we've got the channel, I think. Channel name, video ID or collection ID. But is it the channel name or we've got the user ID? This API is really confusing. Okay, so in here, does this work? So if we say the stream is live, can we just return this? So this would be, this could actually be this. So then we could have more than one. So this would be Twitch player there, and then that would be there as well. And then in here, this we don't really care about. That could just be like 500. That can be like 300. The channel ID is going to be the one that we're hard coding for now. whatever the one that was not our one. So 5.7 is empty. So yeah, that's the one we want. So we want to copy this. Video ID, I don't think we have, and collection ID, I don't think we have either. I think we need that one. Okay, let's mute it so we don't want that. Oh my god, would that work? This would be pretty exciting. So in here, we could do that. That does not work, but can't find variable Twitch. If this was already in our application layout, check it out. Doesn't work. Okay, so we've got the player, but not the... I think it's the wrong ID that we're passing in there. I think it's now asking for channel ID, which I do not know which one that is. So when we asked for... Oh, whoops. It's this number in the controller that we want. So what's the channel ID? What? I think that's what's missing there. Channel name. Oh, channel name. Okay, so maybe it wants the login? Or the broadcaster ID? So let's... What's the broadcaster ID? That's the thing we got right at the end last week. Broadcaster type partner. So let's try the login. I'm just hard coding this in. I'm just trying to get this working. Okay, let's try that. Yes. Okay, great. So it's the login. You need both. Okay, right. So what are we demonstrating here? Like what use is any of this? Like why stream any of this stuff? So the we're basically using turbo frames to offload a bunch of work that we could have done in JavaScript, and we could like have handled everything on the client side. But instead, what we're able to do is keep everything on the server side, but keep the page load really fast and not have to worry about actually doing the checking ourselves. So we load the view up, and by putting in, so that's the site show view, by putting in this turbo frame, only once the page is loaded do we then get this to go off and check whatever path we give it. And again, I've just come up with a crappy API there for like /channel ID Twitch check. We could use this for whatever we wanted. We can pass that whatever we want. We can define the loading content really easily. And also there was a lazy loading. So if it was even further down the page, it wouldn't load until it was visible. So presumably even Turbo is even handling the kind of intersection observer stuff that like, oh, hey, this is on the screen. Once it is, it's making a check to your server side. So again, that's, are you authenticated? Everything's already happening there. You've got all the information on the server side. And then all we're doing is doing that check in the controller. So here we just had some very rough code to say, is this thing live? But you would have better code and checking and all of that stuff around that. Maybe you would be polling regularly and just be updating something on a model so you could just return that value quickly. You wouldn't even need to go and do the check. Or you would have it on a webhook where when the user went live, you set a value when they stopped going live. Or you would keep maybe an event feed of webhooks that you'd received back from Twitch. And if the last event was this user is live, you know they're live. And if it's not, then it's not. And you rely on those webhooks. You've got a million ways to accomplish that. but all of which mean that you only need to return that single value, hey, this thing is live. And then on the view side, then all you need to do is get that one value back and then decide what to show. However, we could also, oh, well, no, it's not on the client side because that's actually rendered server side. You send that back from the view we had, which is the show, the Twitch live streams show view. So we're here deciding based on this value. Again, we're not even passing that value back to the server. We're just simply saying this is what you need to render. And then, as I said, what we could do is keep an eye on that value using the Turbo Streams or Action Cable stuff that we looked at before, and then swap this out based on based on that value. And again, you could use the same partial. You could have a partial here and you could just say, well, re-render this partial, but now the stream is not live, and it would swap that HTML out for you and know how to do that. So you would have the, what those Turbo Streams one, like underscore replace, and it would swap that out for you. So really cool way of handling that stuff without needing to write any JavaScript at all, really. Yeah, I think so, which is pretty good. That is it. I'm not going to go back and do the adding the user information to the site creation because, frankly, this morning nothing on this stream has gone to plan. But today, so just getting something out and working is more than enough for me. And I thank you to anyone who watched along. And I do apologize for Twitch not happening today. I don't know what is wrong with Streamlabs, why the music isn't working, anything like that. It just wasn't happening this morning, and I had no time before having to do the stream to get it fixed. I will endeavor to get all of those things fixed, and we'll be back up and running, and I will write a very miffed letter to the people at Streamlabs, or maybe the people at Twitch. I don't know whose fault it was. So thank you again for anyone who has checked this out. Not 100% sure what we're going to be doing next week, but I will hopefully update that. Also, I got a couple of comments about things about kind of tidying up the channel, doing the YouTube thumbnails, and also I had mentioned that like I want to tidy up this app and get it the GitHub repo done so we can move on this channel maybe from this app, because now we've kind of explored a bunch of stuff. That is still the plan, to get this nice and tidy and up onto GitHub for people who want to come back and watch these streams later to take a look at. Have a great week. Enjoy yourselves. And I am off. Going to go for a nice Sunday lunch. So enjoy yourselves. See you next week.